Carlos Sainz's career took a wild turn this past year, and I'm not just talking about the stats. One moment he was going toe-to-toe with Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, and the next he's hearing from a friend, not even the team, that Lewis Hamilton was replacing him. Imagine putting your trust in a team, giving everything on and off track, and then finding out secondhand that you're out. That's exactly what happened to Sainz. And if you ask me, it's one of the coldest moves we've seen in Formula One in a long time. Up until that phone call, Carlos had every reason to believe he'd remain with Ferrari. He was already deep into winter training, gearing up for a 2024 season that, on paper, looked promising. He even said himself that negotiations with Ferrari started back in October. They'd been talking about extending his contract for months. According to Sainz, the team kept pushing the signing date back, saying it would be a quick and easy deal once they ironed out a few final points. So, naturally, he trusted the process. Who wouldn't? But then came January. Carlos was training hard, believing everything was on track, when suddenly he gets blindsided. Not by an official statement, not even by team boss Fred Vasseur, but by a friend. That friend calls him up and drops the bomb. Lewis Hamilton is joining Ferrari. Carlos, out. Just like that. That kind of news doesn't just hit your career, it hits you personally. Sainz had built a relationship with Ferrari over 3 seasons, competed hard, and by most standards, delivered. And yet, the courtesy of a proper conversation never came. No heads up, no respect, just silence, until the decision had already been made. Let me ask you, do you think Ferrari handled that right? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you're into these deep dives into F1's real behind-the-scenes drama, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Your subscription is very important to us. Help us grow and reach our goal of $1,000 subscribers. We've got way more stories like this coming your way. All right, let's keep going, because Carlos's 2024 season was just getting started. So picture this. You just found out you're being dropped from Ferrari. You're still expected to show up, suit up, and race your heart out for a team that already signed your replacement. That's exactly what Carlos Sainz faced heading into 2024, but instead of letting the shock drag him down, he did the exact opposite. He went to work. Right out of the gate in Bahrain, Sainz made a statement. He landed on the podium, finishing ahead of Leclerc, the very teammate Ferrari had chosen to keep. Talk about sending a message. It was the kind of performance that made people stop and think, did Ferrari just make a massive mistake? But if you thought that was dramatic, buckle up, because just one race later, life threw him another curveball. Sainz had to be rushed to the hospital and undergo emergency surgery for appendicitis. It's the kind of thing that could derail anyone's season, but not Carlos. He missed the Saudi Grand Prix, sure, but what happened next was something out of a movie. He came back in Australia just 2 weeks after surgery and won the race. Let that sink in. A driver recovering from surgery came back and beat both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, everyone. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a statement. And then he did it again in Japan, another podium. 3 races, 3 top 3 finishes. This wasn't just grit, it was elite level. Mental toughness. And all this time, Carlos didn't say a single bad word publicly about Ferrari. He didn't need to. His driving was doing all the talking. You could tell he wanted to prove something, to show that he wasn't just another driver being cycled out, but someone who still had plenty to give. The guy could have crumbled under the pressure. Instead, he showed us exactly why so many teams were still interested in signing him. So, let me ask you something. What's your favorite Sainz moment from this season so far? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to see what stood out to you. And if you haven't yet, hit that like button if you're enjoying this kind of breakdown. It really helps more fans like you find us. Next, we've got to talk about what happened before the racing even began, because Ferrari's silence, that was just the beginning. Now let's rewind a bit and dig into what was going on behind the scenes before Sainz even stepped into his car for the 2024 season. This part reveals just how much Ferrari misled him, and it's not a good look for the team. Carlos said negotiations to renew his contract started back in October of 2023. They were talking regularly. According to him, Ferrari kept delaying the contract signing, telling him it was just a matter of ironing out some final details and agreeing on the financial side. Sainz believed it was all routine, just paperwork that would be wrapped up quickly. He trusted the team's words completely. After 3 solid seasons at Ferrari, including some tight battles with Leclerc and strong points finishes, Sainz had no reason to doubt that he'd be continuing. He knew the rest of the grid's contract situations, and there were no big-name drivers suddenly available. To him, this was straightforward. But then, the truth hit him like a truck. Without any direct communication from Ferrari's management, he found out through a friend that Hamilton was coming in and that he wouldn't be staying. No official call, no heads up, nothing from the team he'd given his all to. Just silence. Imagine how that feels, thinking you're valued and secure, then suddenly discovering you're being replaced with no warning. Sainz said it took him a full week to accept it and really come to terms with what had happened. That shows just how deeply this affected him. So what do you think? Was Ferrari's handling of this a terrible mistake or just the brutal reality of Formula One business? Let me know in the comments below your opinions. Always make these videos way more fun and interesting. And before we move on to the next chapter, if you want to keep up with all the insider info and real stories from F1, make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell on. Your support really means the world to us and helps us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. All right, next up, the surprising rejection from Red Bull. That's a whole story on its own. So after being pushed out by Ferrari, you might have thought Carlos Sainz's next move would be an easy one. Maybe even a return to Red Bull. After all, he and Max Verstappen have history. They raced together in Toro Rosso and had a rivalry back then. But Carlos insists it was a healthy one. More importantly, he says they actually get along really well now. But here's the kicker. Red Bull's motorsport advisor, Helmut Marko, reportedly called their relationship toxic, which apparently played a big part in Red Bull's decision not to take Sainz back for 2025. That's a bold claim, considering it's been nearly a decade since those early battles. Sainz himself seemed puzzled by it. He said, "I genuinely got on well with Max. I don't understand why they wouldn't want me next to Max, because I think we would actually be a very strong pairing in Formula One." Think about that for a second. Red Bull turning down a driver who's proven, mature, and ready to play a clear number 2 role, especially when they've been struggling with that exact problem lately. Sainz even pointed out that all of Max's current teammates seem to be having a really tough time coping with the pressure of racing alongside him. But when he was Max's teammate back in the day, it wasn't like that. In fact, racing alongside Verstappen gave Carlos the confidence to know he could compete against anyone. This situation raises some serious questions. Was Red Bull's rejection based on outdated grudges? Was it a missed opportunity? Considering how much trouble they've had with their second driver's seat this season, some fans, and maybe even insiders, are wondering if Christian Horner's refusal to bring Sainz back played a part in his eventual departure from the team. What do you think? Would Sainz have been a better fit for Red Bull than Perez? Could this toxic relationship claim just be a smokescreen? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to see what you think about this whole Red Bull drama. And if you want to keep up with all the twists and turns in Formula One, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us grow and keeps us bringing you the stories that really matter. Next, we'll look at what's ahead for Sainz as he heads to Williams, aiming to prove everyone wrong. Now, looking ahead, Carlos Sainz is gearing up for a fresh start with Williams in 2025. After everything he's been through, the heartbreak at Ferrari, the shock rejection from Red Bull, he's not just ready to compete, he's ready to prove a point. Sainz is confident in his E-Day abilities, and he knows he can hold his own against anyone on the grid, including Max Verstappen. He's raced alongside some of the best: Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Nico Hülkenberg, Alex Albon, and every time he's shown he belongs at the top level. That experience, combined with his mental toughness from this past turbulent year, sets him up perfectly to help Williams move forward. And knowing how hungry he is for success, don't be surprised if we see some seriously strong performances from him next season. It's a classic comeback story in the making. The driver who was pushed out, sidelined, and underestimated is now ready to show everyone that he's far from finished. Williams gets a fighter and a leader, and Sainz gets a chance to reset and build a future on his own terms. So what do you think? Can Carlos Sainz take Williams to the next level? Will he bounce back stronger and maybe even return to a top team down the road? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into Carlos Sainz's journey, don't forget to subscribe to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means a lot, and we've got plenty more F1 stories coming your way. Thanks for sticking with me through this one. See you in the next video.